Hello, beautiful people, tribe of many colors. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. I'm showing up today to talk to you, to invite a spirit of peace and love and focus and grounding because so much is happening. I think this is the first time I've ever gone into a Christmas time that felt this depressing. Right? There's horrible news everywhere. If you're finding it hard to get into the Christmas spirit, if you're, somebody that celebrates Christmas and it just seems like it's just sad, sad news everywhere around you, listen, it's time to focus. That's all this is. This is just the hard part of university school, right? So we're all here to learn, to grow, and as we get tossed these incredibly difficult experiences, sometimes it's important to remember just focus through this point, okay? Focus on yourself, focus on your healing, focus on love. If it's one thing I know is bad news is always going to be there. Bad news, sad news, make sure you're prioritizing what you take in and that whatever you're taking in, that it feeds your soul. Everything you interact with has to feed your soul. It has to give it a little bit of joy, a little bit of balance, a little bit of peace, right? So it's important to spend time with and absorb peaceful energy so that you stay in balance, right? That's the most important thing. You're not too much into the negative. You're not super duper head in the clouds, all positive all the time. It's not realistic. Okay. Even the bird has to walk. So even when you're flying high with the otherworldly things, you always have to come down to a grounding point. And sometimes for those of us who love being high on that high vibrational energy, we don't like the pull, right? But just know sometimes the pull, it's not always depression, right? Sometimes that pull, that energetic feeling that it wants to pull you, slow you down, even that's purposeful. You ever see a bird hovering in the sky, right? It's not moving fast, it's not walking, but it's almost like it's at a standstill. All the wind is blowing so hard it could just float, it could just coast. That's kind of like what the energy is doing right now. It's not stopping you from moving forward, but it's kind of pulling you back into a coast. Just coast through this part. And how you coast through this part is you just got to stay grounded. You got to tune into the stuff that feeds you. It's not everything we hear out there. It's not everything that other people are going through. That means it's for us. Not everything is for us. So right now it's time to fine tune, okay, what's for you. And you know it's for you when it keeps you in a positive vibration. You know it's not for you if it brings you down into a negative vibration, okay? So this week for me has felt like a lot of experiencing frustration, okay? Seems like there's a lot of people, they their mouth is tight, they're angry. I went into a Dollar Tree the other day, and I'm telling you, I did not walk down the aisle and see one happy face, okay? And you might see that a lot in this energy. Is a lot of people walking around pissed, okay? And it's hard sometimes to not take that on, especially being empathic, especially being somebody that feels and sensitive to energy. Sometimes it could be a mission and a half to just go out there and do what you have to do for yourself without absorbing negative energy, right? But how you start your day prepares you for that. And you always want to make sure you prepare yourself by starting your day off with a space of calm, just a breath to settle yourself so that you have your energetic boundaries in place before you go out there and tackle what can be some very heavy energies. What else? I did feel a break in it, right? So if you've been going through this energy and it feels like it's been weighing on you, I got a chance to get through a little break where it felt like I wasn't sick or blah. You know that feeling like you just want to stay home and cuddle up in hermit mode? There was this break today where it felt like, man, I got my energy back, my stamina is back, my boost is back, and I took advantage of that and I did a really hard workout. So if you get those gaps in energetic space where it feels like you can do a lot, you can get a lot done, take advantage of it, but make sure you're doing some self-care as well. Don't just take those moments to do all the chores, get all the your shopping done, your bills paid, your card. Yes, you got to take care of that stuff, but also make sure as an empathic being, you take those bursts of energy moments and also do something for you. Go for a good walk, ride the bike. Make sure you're building up that activity within yourself as well, and creating an exercise routine that helps to replenish you. Exercise shouldn't deplete you. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to exercise and work to muscle failure, especially if the next couple days you got to get up and you're going to be emotionally drained, physically drained. Your workout sessions should boost your spirit. They should lift you up with energy. So make sure you're moderating that as well. For those of us who like to hit the gym hard or hit the yoga hard, make sure when you're exercising and working out that you give just enough to give yourself energy, if that makes sense, because you're building the energy as you exercise, but you don't want to go to the point of depleting yourself. Okay. What else? Lots and lots of downloads. So if a lot of information has just been flooding in all at once, the sun is very active right now, right? And some of us, our consciousness and our awareness comes in with the sun. For others of us, our consciousness and our awareness comes in with the moon, right? For some of us, our consciousness comes in with meteorites, with comets, falling stars, right? Those are like big leaps in consciousness for us when we have a sensitivity towards those things, okay? So those are a lot of the ways that light comes in as wisdom and information, through the sun, through the moon, falling stars, shooting stars, comets, androids. Listen, androids. What am I saying? Asteroids. Maybe some of us, we do get our consciousness from the android. I don't know. It's possible. AI can wake you up too if you really think about it. It's at the core, it's sacred math, right? That's what AI is. When you break it down to the coding, you're talking about sequencing and maths, and a lot of people who do math and code, they are just experiencing consciousness and awareness from a different angle. So awareness can come in many ways. So I guess androids work too. All right. Yeah, so lots and lots of downloads, right? What else have I been experiencing? I went through a couple days where I just did not eat. So you might find that there's that really turbulent state. If you experience it like that, for some of us, it's no biggie, where your body just wants to fast and you don't want to eat anything, and it's going days and days, and you're like, I'm not hungry, I'm not thirsty. What I had to do, I had to honor that moment, honor that space, because your body's going through its own transition, as your mental state goes through a transition, and as your emotional state goes through a transition. And you always want to make sure you're honoring the energy you have, and you're honoring what your body needs. And you're going to find that it's easier to go into a natural fasting where you just don't feel hungry, it doesn't mean you're sick. Okay? You can just eat a little handful of maybe some trail mixes, or you can cut your meals down to half and you're drinking more water and you're going to feel full for a longer time. Because if you're one of those beings that your consciousness comes in on the light, right? You're a light being, so all consciousness and awareness information comes in on the light. It's also nourishing, and the body can sustain itself on nourishment. And the nourishment doesn't always have to be in food. Sometimes you can go for a walk at night, taking that night air, and it can feel nourishing. Okay? And very few people are able to nourish themselves from eating very light, being in light, and being light in their energy. And because they are nourished in all those forms, they don't need to eat as much. Okay? And if you've eliminated that you're not sick, let your body go through its natural fasting. And if you find that the next day you're eating to make up for all that time you didn't eat, honor your body and what it needs. Okay? It's time to really sit with yourself and know if this is a sign of depression, anxiety, being in a negative mental space, or if this is really just how your body wants to handle where you are in your growth and your healing. So meditating is going to help you to fine tune and get the answers to those questions if you're worried about it. But some of us by now, we just know these natural cycles and we just flow with it, because it's if you pay attention, it's a pattern, and it's a pattern, and sometimes the pattern changes, and you just learn to flow with it and trust yourself and trust your universe and trust the guides. Okay, so that's my little intro there. Let's get into the guides part 2. I've been trying to do this video, and every time I do, I'm hit with a download about something else, and I go down that rabbit hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out the other guides that I know as I'm talking. Okay, so in case this ends up being a video, I don't want it to be too long. I'll at least have my notes and I could go back to it. So let's get a little etheric, outer world. This is going to be information that my guides have given to me, that I've seen in my own visions, my own understanding about our cosmic history. And let's just have some fun with it and see what comes up. Okay, so some of the first guides I can think of. First thing that comes to mind, it was a tie between the animals and the trees, but definitely the trees to me feel like the oldest guides. And when I'm talking about guides here, if you're still someone who's stuck on the belief that something has to be alive if it only looks like you, thinks like you, reacts like you, I understand that that's where you are, but you got to try to expand your mind, okay? Because you have to come from the perspective that everything is energy. And if everything is energy, right? Even all of you and all of your personalities and your changes and your thought patterns and your belief system, it's all a combination of different energies. But at its base, at its first point, it is just energy. And you are a combination of energy that has built on itself over time to become this very complex array of energies, all trying to move in one direction. Some energy forms that are just as alive and just as conscious, they're just not that complex. They don't have all these other energies added to them to make them any more complex than they need to be. So for example, the difference between you and a rock is just the amount of energy that has impacted that expression and how it's changed it over time. We absorb a lot of energy. So we can pick up energy, let's say, from our grandparents. We can pick up energy from the foods we consume. We can pick up energy from the things we listen to, the things we read. A rock is still alive, but it's not complicated energy. But it does not mean it doesn't have awareness and consciousness. It just means it doesn't have a lot of it influencing it. You see what I'm saying? It's allowing itself to be in a state where it literally is just primarily with its own energy, and maybe just interacts with the elements, and that's it, right? Because that's all it needs, and that's all it wants to experience. So remember, energy equals consciousness. And if you look at it that way, it's not hard to believe that energy and consciousness can reside in things that seem to us to be inanimate, right? Okay, so trees are some of our oldest guides, okay? The trees are ancient, and the trees are they're very complicated and very complex because trees absorb a lot of energy and a lot of different energy, right? And they are very, very, very connected. What you see of a tree just popping up out of the ground is nothing compared to what and how that tree is connected to everything underneath the earth. The roots of a tree go deep. And what my guides tell me is that you can't kill a tree, because the tree doesn't only exist in the form you see it, which means it's more than just the trunk and the trees and the branches and the leaves. The consciousness of a tree lives deep within the roots. And even when you pull a tree up and you think you've pulled up all the roots, there's still these little fine roots, these little fine hairs that connect, okay? Like a mesh, like a like a netting. These very fine little pieces of roots that almost seem like nothing. And yet, if you think you can kill a tree, you can't, because even those little tiny roots can grow and restructure the consciousness. And that tree, even though it's been maybe extinct for years, or you thought it's been dead for years, it can regrow itself from those tiny little branches and exist in the form that we see it again. That's how you can have a tree that's been extinct for many years, and then people are like, oh, we discovered this tree and it was supposed to be extinct. But you can't kill it. You can't kill a tree, because even to its finest, tiniest, probably microscopic root, it can rebuild itself. And that's the wisdom of a tree. That's the strength of a tree. And that's how long trees have existed, that even if we think they're extinct, they're still there in the root system, laying dormant until it's time that they experience the energies that allow them to rebuild themselves. And trees have their own personalities, okay? So if you go and sit under an oak tree, you're going to get different downloads than if you sit under a maple tree, okay? Or if you sit under a pine tree. And they express their differences and their personalities through their scent, right? That's why certain trees, they have a strong smell, through their pollens, through their expression in their barks and their leaves. All of that is how a tree expresses its personality. And when you sit by a tree, touch a tree, hug a tree, and it shares its wisdom with you, every single one is different. And your time spent with a pine versus an oak, you're going to get completely different downloads. Even an apple tree, fruit trees, they all take it to the next level. So for example, a tree that doesn't bear fruit and then a tree that does. The difference is that the fruit-bearing tree added another notch to its energy, right? Another Lego onto its system, and now it says, I want to express fruit, right? So it becomes, in a sense, a little bit more complex. Okay. And trees are guides, and sometimes how they communicate with us is if you're walking out in nature, you'll just have a feeling to go touch a tree, just to be near it. Sometimes that's how they encourage us to come sit with them, because they have a lot of wisdom to share. And if you have the opportunity to just go take a walk in nature and be amongst the trees, you'll find that you stay more grounded, you open yourself up to more wisdom, and you learn a lot. Okay? That's one of the ways in which books carry the essence of a tree. The pages of a book can become almost magical when they are pulled from trees that are wise and old. Okay? So that's why back in the day, it was a part of the ritual to choose the particular tree to use as the paper to write, because it's not just paper. The paper still carries the essence of that tree, right? The knowledge and the wisdom of it is on the page. So when you read the words, and sometimes you're hit with something so profound and you're like, oh my God, that is just amazing. The paper it's written on helps to transfer that wisdom. Right? That's why sometimes, no matter how much I have electronics and all different types, I still just have to hold the book. I have to just read a book, hold the book, touch a book, smell the book, because I'm connecting to the wisdom of, whatever tree made that paper. And that's how sensitive some of us are, that we can even pick up the energy after it's been through all that process. All right, that's trees. Next, I think I want to talk about the animals. Let me write that down real quick. So animals. Oh man. Animals. What can I say about animals? Animals have been guiding us for eons. Okay? They were some of our first teachers, because the animals help to teach us how to strategize. They teach us how to care for our young. They teach us how to forgive. They teach us how to play. They teach us how to love. They teach us how to protect. They teach us how to fight. Okay? Some of the greatest military strategies that have been deployed in history have come from people who have sat observing animals and how they strategize. Okay? Wolves. Okay? People used to observe wolves a lot, and they saw how wolves hunt, strategize in hunting, how they played the hierarchy of their pack. Okay? And that's why a lot of people sometimes are drawn to the wolf, and they're drawn to the energy and spirit of the wolf, because those animals have guided people for a long time. Okay? And animals also guide us and help us to understand what's going on in nature, because their reactions and their migrations has always guided us on sometimes where is the best place to go farm, the best places to find water. Okay, look at an elephant. Even when you don't know where water is, if you follow an elephant, it'll lead you to water. Okay, so animals have been guiding us for a long time, in spirit and physically, if you are able to just sit and watch and observe them. That's why sometimes it's such a shame that we haven't figured out how to live with the animals yet, because they can teach us a lot. And one of the biggest things they guide us with is balance, right? Animals flow in a space of balance with nature. They always understand how to just take what they need so that the land could replenish. If you look at a herd of cows or a herd of buffaloes, they don't eat and decimate their entire area. You notice that a lot of animals, they don't do that. Even animals that eat fruits from a tree, they don't eat everything off one tree. They eat just enough, they move on, they let that tree replenish, they let the grass replenish, they migrate, they come back. It helps to create the balance. And you know they're really in balance when even their shit helps to regrow what they need to eat. Okay? They don't decimate an entire place and ransack it and leave nothing. They'll, even when I used to see the grasshoppers eating the plants, they eat a little bit of this, they move on. They eat a little bit of this, they move on. Unless you're talking about like a swarm of locusts, even just a regular garden grasshopper, they'll just eat a little bit of that leaf and move on. Eat a little bit and move on. It's only when things are out of balance that you see them become a swarm and just destroy everything. And at that point, they're still trying to maintain the balance, right? So animals have been guiding us for a long, long time. And it's important that you find your spirit animal. It's important that you find a tree that is your tree, because of all the things that are going to guide us, you have a tree that's specific for you, that's here to help you. You have an animal that's here for you, that's going to help you. You have herbs. Herbs are guides too. Okay, let me write some of this down. You have flowers. So there's a specific flower that is just, it makes you happy. It makes you smile. You love seeing it. You love being in its presence. That's your flower guide. Okay, so flowers are guides too. Colors can be guides. Okay, remember, colors just reflect a certain spectrum of light, which is wisdom, which is energy, right? So if you're attracted and you love a particular color, that frequency that gives you that color is also there to guide you. That's why sometimes you can find a lot of information on what the color red means or the color blue means. So even colors can be guides, because it can help to alter and change your mood and lift your spirit. So in that way, the colors themselves are guides, right? So we got colors. What else? Trees, animals, herbs, flowers, colors. Okay, the mythological animals. So now we're talking about fairies, unicorns, dragons. Oh yeah. That we going there? Yeah, we going there. We going there. I think that mythological guiding system, oh, that's probably going to be its own video, because that comes with a backstory of our cosmic history. And there's some of that I've been made aware of, so I'm going to share that. It's important to know that your history goes farther back than just which continent you came from. You're a human being on a planet within the universe, and your history did not just start a couple 100,000 years ago. Your history is eternal, because you're a cosmic being, your soul, your spirit. You didn't just start when you were born. You have a cosmic history that is as timeless as you are. And when we delve into that, we'll explore the mythological creatures. And, I'll give you my wisdom and what I think those are, and why they're here to help us, and why we connect with them across cultures. And yeah, I'll talk about that in another video. But next we have planets. Planets are guides, especially if you believe in astrology, because that's what the planets are there to do, right? They're guiding us with their own particular energy. Mars and Venus, okay, Jupiter, all of these all of these planets have their own energy that we feel impact us and can change the course of our lives or can elevate the course of our lives. So knowing your planetary alignment and how that influences you is the same thing as your planets being your guides. Okay. All right. So I think I'm going to stop right here. This video is 30 minutes, going over longer than I wanted to. Stay tuned for part 3. And if I come up with some more on my list, I'm going to add it. And we can go over that as well. I wanted to close out with some animal guidance. Right here. Ancient animal wisdom. So let's see what the animal guide wants to say for today. All right, let's see. All right, animal guide, come through for us today. Let's get a positive message to end this video. What does the animal guides want to tell us? Which guide wants to come through from the animal space? Give us the message that's best for us, the one that we need right now. I'm gonna go with this one. What does this say? The rabbit. That's beautiful. I see a lot of rabbits where I am. So that's actually pretty funny. Especially at night when I take the dogs down for their last little walk. I'm always seeing rabbits outside. And they don't run. They know I don't let the dogs chase them. So they know us pretty well and they don't run from us. Dewey, my little black dog Dewey, he's always trying to chase him, but they'll just sit there and look at him because they know he's on a leash, so they're not afraid. All right, let's see. 25, rabbit, Kalulu, cycles and rhythm. Pay attention to natural cycles, especially lunar cycles. The full moon signifies the completion of activities and projects you have already started, and the new moon is a time of creating new endeavors. The saying, "go with the flow," stems from following the natural cycles of life and the everlasting rotation of the moon's influential energy. Are we just talking about that? Rabbit may be signaling that your life could be easier if you learn to go with the flow. There is great wisdom in recognizing when the time is right to act, withdraw, or simply wait for divine guidance. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be at this time and allow the rhythms of the earth to gently guide you. Look at the moon this evening. Is it waxing or waning? Meditate with the powerful essence of Moon Mother to guide you through today's question. That's nice. So if you have something on your mind and you want to know the answer, it's always good to look up or look around you. I like to get my answers from the stars. There's something about just looking up and remembering that there is a greater world out there, and there's more to life than just where you are and where you're stuck. Looking up always reminds me that there's more. There's more than what I'm feeling, more than what I'm seeing. And that's hopeful. It's hopeful when the universe reminds you you have options. And it's a matter of tapping into your instincts and going with the flow and knowing when it's time to make your move, and when it's time to lay low, and when it's time to just be. Okay? So I hope this message brought you some comfort. And before I go, one last thing. I've got to say thank you to everybody who's supporting my channel, everybody who shared my content. Thank you if you've learned something from this and it's helping to motivate you to work out, stay in shape, heal yourself, uh, work on your flaws, okay? Find your balance, repair your relationships. That's what I'm doing, and I'm sharing the wisdom with you as I'm doing it. I'm not perfect. I'm not all knowing, right? None of us are. So we all go through moments in our lives where things are easier this moment, and then the next minute it can get hard. So I appreciate your support, but it means more to me that you take the wisdom and the knowledge you gain from this and use it to heal yourself and heal your relationships and bring balance and peace to your life. That's the most important thing. And I'm at 58 subscribers, and I'm gonna tell you, I was happy with 5. I was happy with 5. I was ecstatic with 10. I was doing cartwheels with 20 because it was, I don't know, 58 people. And if that many people to me, want to share in this healing space, and I can teach and learn, and you can teach and learn. Listen, I don't know who you know, and I don't know who you can influence. And if you can take any of this and turn it into love, you've blessed me. You have blessed me. So thank you, thank you, thank you to every single one of you who receive support and give support as we all go through this very tumultuous time. Okay? I love you. I love you. I love you. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. Okay? I'll talk to you later.